in early September.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Do you
yeah,
typically spend like half the year there and half the year in the US, or does it kind of just depend on what work you're doing?
that depends. Yeah, it depends on family situation. I have my daughter in US. I have work to consider,
Yeah.
so
Well,
very
both
flexible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, both are cool places. Sweden,
Yeah.
obviously, very beautiful. Like we were talking, my wife got to visit last month, I guess it was now, and she couldn't say enough positive things. She was like, "We are going to go here again because it is like the most incredible people, the great food,
Oh.
just the culture of it all." She was like, "You're gonna love it." I was like, "All right, let's go." But
Yeah, that's funny.
no, Susie, this is amazing. I'm glad we're able to have a podcast. You and I
Uh-huh,
met a couple of months ago and
uh-huh,
got to get introduced, and you shared a lot about your story and just your background, which is incredible. I for what and I'll let you say a little bit more of it, but you're working on a book, you're a founder, but you had a experience, growing up that a lot of people don't have to go through, and it could have gone it could have gone a totally different direction. You
yeah,
could have gone down a path that is totally opposite of the one you've gone down,
yeah.
but instead you chose to break through and do some really incredible things, and you've created a company and processes and ways that people can deal with these situations, and you're an international keynote speaker now. Like I said, I already said founder. You've got a book in the works. So it's incredible what all you're doing, have done, and what you're going to continue to do. But Susie, for those who have not been introduced to you before and they don't know your story, would you mind sharing a little bit about that?
Yeah, of course. Well, I now, as an adult, I can see that my all my work started way back when I was 8 years old. And what happened then was that my mom, she died from cancer, and my parents was divorced at the time, and I haven't seen my father for over 4 years, and I was only 8 years old. So when she died, by the Swedish law, my father got custody, even though we didn't have any contact or relationship with him. So coming to live with my dad was a totally different environment of abuse, different kind of abuse. And after 6 months living with him, we found out that he had bought me a one-way airline ticket and made a false passport to fly me to strangers in a foreign country down to Southern Europe. And when I found out, that was actually the ticket was for the following evening, which meant you need to act fast. And how do you do that when you're 8 year old? I mean, yeah. So I ran away from home to save myself. And also now I can understand that I was also fighting for the dream of a better life. So then it took me like bunch of years to live all that trauma and all of the questions that you have and all the unhealed wounds that you have stored in your body and all the subconscious survival patterns that we tend to create when we're going through trauma. And then 2012, I started to dig in this this past, and that was the starting point of why what I have been creating since then.
Yeah.
So yeah,
No. I mean, again, I can't imagine what that was like. I've never met anyone who's gone through that before. I can only imagine what I think it would be like. But as a 8-year-old kid, again, I don't even want to pretend it's an awful situation. But again, it's turned into such an incredible story because you've decided to own your story and do some powerful and amazing things with it. And I love for you to talk more about, because I know you've developed a four-step wisdom letter writing method that has
Yeah,
been super popular. The
yeah,
bridge, and I know
yeah,
for Me to You is a movement you've
yeah,
been working on, and I know that
yeah.
transitions into your book. But can you talk into about some of the work that you've created and some of these steps that you've put together for people?
Yeah. So it all started when I processed my own past. I came to a point where I couldn't recognize and I couldn't identify myself with that little 8-year-old girl who was so courageous, and she also followed through with actions. So I decided I need to at least write her a letter to say thank you. Thank you for the courage, for taking action, for actually saving my life. And through that spontaneous process of writing that letter to her, I felt that something changed within me because my pain and my subconsciously suffering that I have been carrying for all those years suddenly belonged to the letter. And it was such an impactful experience that I need to dive into this, how writing is healing and what specific factors do we need to address and in which order do we need to do that in order to actually write a healing letter to ourselves. So that was the starting point of me studying for several years. And then I developed the 4-step method. And through networking and clients in US and all over, they started using this. And suddenly we had like thousands and thousands of the wisdom letter writers, and they were sending in their letters. And I was surprised. I was totally overwhelmed in a positive way that this simple yet profound method had made such an impact on other people's lives. And then I studied more and doing interviews, and I can see and say that it is bulletproof to use because you are reframing your experience to discover the wisdom from it, and you're also transforming your relationship to the trauma. And by doing so and acknowledging everything that happened to you, you also create greater resilience and strength. And so it helps you bridge the gap between the past and your future. And it's amazing to see the results, not just after they have written the letter, but also what they are choosing doing with their life now, with new confidence and also free from the burden of pain and suffering and uh, and also stop this generational cycle of trauma that we pass on subconsciously. So the whole experience was happy. It was kind of, in some way, enormously grateful for that I have spent so much time studying all this and developed it. And then I could see the results and turning my pain into something meaningful and purposeful for other people to heal as well. So we now have this 4-step method that has been used of thousands of people, and people are still sending in all those letters that we are collecting in a book series. And then of course my own book with my own story will come out in September. So
It's
yeah.
exciting. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
it'll
super
be here
exciting.
soon.
It's super
Susie, when
exciting.
you first wrote your letter, where did that idea come from? Were you at the time going through any sort of counseling or therapy, or how did you decide that you needed to write that letter to your 8-year-old self?
No, because when I left that city, where I ran away from home. When I left that city, I made a promise to myself to never come back, and I kept that promise for like 30 years or something. And then when I started to feel this hollow in my life, that being successful in my work didn't equal being successful personally. I didn't feel that my personal life was meaningful and purposeful. I was just a smart, quick businesswoman doing all this coaching and leadership program and stuff. So I knew that I needed to go back in time. And I came to that point that, wow, this little girl, she did something truly amazing because she didn't know where to run. She didn't know how to run. She didn't have just $1 in her pocket. I mean, the odds was really not good. And so that was when I thought that I need to just write a letter to just get it out of my system and say thank you to her. And that was the starting point. Because we can have different endings. When we're going through trauma, we can have different endings. But what we choose to do in the middle, that is going to decide uh, which version of ourselves we're showing up at the end, and also which outcome do we experience at the end. So yeah, it's powerful to finally feel aligned with soul, heart, and brain and mind, all the four human experiences, and put that together to help other people. Because when you have known pain and you have known suffering, you have known hunger, you have known abandonment, you have known bullying, when you have experienced all that yourself, at least for me, I can feel your pain. And and so you want to help, because it's kind of selfish to keep your story to yourself. If you can pull out the wisdom from it, then that could be the key to somebody else, that unlocks somebody else's pain. So I do believe that the story we tell ourselves and the meaning we attach to what happened actually is super important. um, how we want the outcome to be and what life we want to create for ourselves.
Yeah.
So
No, and that's spot on, Susie. I talk about
yeah,
that with books is just, there's a lot of people who have gone through a lot of things, and most of the time there's someone out there who has experienced what you have or what you're going through. And it's good to be able to go hear that story or read their book and see what
yeah,
they did to overcome. Because someone out there in an unfortunate situation could be in a similar situation that you were, but
yeah,
if they didn't have anyone to see an example of, they may go down a different path, but they go, "Oh, Susie went through this and look at all she's done. Like, if
yeah,
she can do it, I can do it too."
yeah,
It gives hope. And so I think that
yeah,
is very important and very powerful of you to share your story in many different ways. So that maybe it does reach somebody, and it'll have an impact regardless. But maybe there is someone out there that really could use that story as inspiration to overcome some of those things. With the individuals, I was reading, like you said, thousands of people have written letters. Do you have
yeah,
a team of people that go through each letter, and how does that work? Because I'm assuming for just you, that would be a lot of letters and really a lot of emotion to have to
yeah,
sort through and be, being there for people takes a lot of energy, and it's a good thing, but that's a lot of
yeah,
letters.
yeah. But the UPS guy, where I have my box, post box, is not happy because there's so many letters. But yeah, of course we needed to gather a team to read letters. But but I think that even though you have other people reading, I want to read myself, because I want to know, how did you experience this? What was your life lessons? What was your wisdom? To keep learning and to keep um, learning from the human experience. Because if I detach myself from the actual users of the method, then I think I will lose it. So I want to be close and read the stories and hear from people and talk to people. And when I'm out in different workshops or networking or people approaching and want to, oh, I have this story. I have never told anybody. This is my secret. I have never told my wife. There is a lot of that. But reading a lot of wisdom letters, I can say with 100% certainty that our pain is universal. I mean, we are suffering exactly the same. We cry, we feel guilt, we feel shame, we do all the things the same. And there is a remarkable hope in human kindness that has been gathering around this movement that a lot of people want to give back. They are not getting paid or anything, but they want to give back to help a stranger. If I can write this letter and Susie are willing to put it in the book collection, then somebody else can just buy that book and find a lot of good life lessons and wisdom that can help somebody else. And that is so beautiful that we live in a world that is currently pretty harsh. Uh, but there is this humanity feeling and kindness that I'm willing to reach out. I'm willing to give back, even to strangers that I don't know about. So, um, yeah, it is surprising at the same time, but um, but it's also keep coming evidence of people wanted to join, wanted to help, want to be volunteers for this and that, and so, yeah, I think that this is the time. I do believe that we have an opportunity to expand our horizon and also expand our consciousness and go back to being humans instead of just label us like the CEO or the influencer or the carpenter or whatever label we have. Just just be you. Um, so yeah,
Yeah.
it's really interesting.
No, it is, it
I
is,
can
and
talk forever and ever.
no, and I want you to. This is
Yeah,
important, and your message and story and just your thoughts are important to get out there. But that kind of leads into another question I've got for you because you're unique in a way. So I mean, you do executive coaching, leadership coaching, you're building things, but then you also have this mission of the letters and then people that they're sharing their trauma, and so you're sorting things that most people aren't doing. Like you've got two different totally different paths
yeah,
that you're
yeah,
managing and
yeah,
trying to stay balanced with, all while you're being asked to come on podcast and asked to
yeah.
speak and travel and be in tune with everything going on, write a
Yeah,
book, and they're all
yeah,
good things, but how do
mhm,
you personally, I guess, manage your bandwidth and balancing, this more professional, corporate style work you've got to do or want to do, and then also this mission, because it's not just a project, it's a movement. It's very
yeah,
valuable, and so it's very
and
important.
it's growing.
And it's
Yeah,
growing, so I'm sure
yeah,
you're as it's growing,
yeah,
your time just gets
yeah,
taken a little bit
yeah,
more and more there, and I'm sure
yeah,
you're more almost probably more interested in that approach, but
yeah,
how
yeah.
do you balance it all, and what kind of limitations do you set for yourself on both sides?
Well, last I see here, was it last year or 2024 maybe? I decided to not taking any coaching clients. I said this I have like coaching in like a season from September to June. So I decided from September to June, I'm not taking any coaching clients because now I need to just focus on this. So that is a decision that was deliberate to be able to focus. At the same time, you don't want to lose your clients as well. But what happened was that everybody is so supportive, and my coaching clients usually want to write a wisdom letter because they see patterns in their behavior and in their leadership style that they can connect the dots from past trauma that has been unhealed. They can see that I am this kind of leader because when this happened to me, that affected my values and my decision making, how I am as a father, as a mother, as a brother, as a leader, etc. So they can now see that, oh my gosh, you are onto something because in our coaching, we can see this and this happened to me when we go back in time. So what happened after that period of just not doing any coaching was that all the coaching clients wanted to write wisdom letters instead. And and what happened next is pretty amazing because the wisdom letter method actually works in a corporate environment, that you can see 100% evidence that when you go back and when you heal past trauma, you are showing up differently and you are a different leader, you're a different employee because the trauma and the survival patterns that you have been creating has subconsciously become your normal. If you do that over and over year after year, it's your new normal and you're not aware of that that's just who I am, but it's not. It's just the trauma responding to your actions. So we know that unhealed trauma lives in our actions, in our behavior. And so it was really interesting that the shift happened, that we could see that it's not just a personal matter, but it's also a corporate matter, that we can have better leaders if they heal uh, past trauma. So, so balancing up, Chris, is I think it's all about being true and honest to yourself first. I don't do to-do lists like this is what I'm going to do today and this is what I'm going to do tomorrow. But every morning I do another thing, and that is top three. If I can achieve this top three, the most important thing today, then I have a victory today. And that is how I manage my days. Like the top three most important things, do them first, and then V for victory, and then I move on. So I think when you operate from uh, from within and you're true to yourself, then it, it's not a balancing act. It's just that you find yourself in that flow of happiness and meaningfulness and fulfillment of doing truly making a difference instead of just yeah, by default, you know, working through your to-do list.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that answered your
No.
question, but yeah.
No, perfectly. And how cool is that though, that when you kind of had that internal struggle of how do I continue to work with my coaching clients, but also go do what I really need to do. But
Yeah.
I think that shows you were making the right decisions to see your coaching clients adopt what you were doing over here and be
Yeah.
able to implement that into
Yeah.
business. And
Yeah.
I think that's just validation
Yeah.
that what you were doing was important, is important, and they saw that as well. And so I think there was your answer. Hey, this is what I need to do. And oh, okay, they're going to come on board too with it. That's a great thing. It's
Yeah.
funny you say the three things that you need to get done. Actually, you spoke with the CEO yesterday, and he had the same approach.
Yeah.
He manages many different clients, and he was like, "I just usually have 3 things that if
Yeah.
I can accomplish those 3 things,
Yeah.
it should be a successful day for me." And
Exactly.
that way you don't get overwhelmed and bogged down with just feeling like you've gotta do everything, it'll get
Yeah.
done, but if you can get those 3 important things done, it just kinda sets you up for little victories, and that way you
Yeah.
feel accomplished. So it's funny you said the same thing. I need to adopt that rule, 3 things.
Yeah. Yeah, because you know the 3 things that is most important for the day. And I also believe that before you start your day, that is super important. I mean, some people just get up and they get in the car or on the train or on the bus and then they arrive at the work and they just started working. But have some meaningful, I mean, it's enough with just 10 minutes, just meaningful time to just be with yourself and write in your journal or something and start your day, because it changes your body language and changes your emotional state in your body, and whatever comes that day, I do believe, and I have seen witness clients that you can better handle problems and setbacks or whatever your day is going to be. So I think it's also preparing yourself and setting yourself up for success um, before you arrive
No, I
at work.
agree. That
Yeah,
morning time for me is sacred. Get my coffee,
yeah, yeah,
kinda get settled for the day, figure out what I need to do, and just kinda
yeah,
breathe before the chaos kicks in, and,
yeah.
then you're running 100 miles an hour, so, no, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Susie, I just got one more question for you. This has been
Okay.
such incredible conversation, and thank you for sharing. And this question I ask to everyone who comes on the podcast, just from a book standpoint, and I'm always
Okay.
curious to know, has there been a book or 2 that you've read that has meant a lot to you personally or professionally? And is there a book that you like to recommend to other people?
Oh my God, there is a lot of good books out there. I mean, wow. Do I only have to choose one?
You can choose as
Hmm.
many as you want.
Well, I do read a lot of books, but I actually have one book that is uh that is something that I come back to over and over again, and that is actually How to Live and How to Love. Have you read this book?
I have not read that yet, no. You're the
Oh,
first
Chris,
person to recommend it.
you must read that. It's just a teeny tiny little book. It's full of beautiful um life wisdom, and it's just a lovely little book. And I have read it a couple of times, but every time I read it, I am different, meaning I also see different things. So that is absolutely one of my favorites. And then I have this book, and this is Everyday Ubuntu, Living Better Together, the African Way. Have you heard of this book?
I think I've heard of it. I have not read it though.
Oh
I
my
have
God,
heard of
that
it.
is really that is giving you like a life perspective of humanity. And also for me, when I read that book, it was more like a reflection of, oh my God, I'm so happy and grateful that I'm changing path and have been for a couple of years to something more meaningful and purposeful and helping others and serve others, not just be here
Yeah,
on the earth
yeah.
for my ego. Or
No, those are both
so
great
yeah,
recommendations.
it's giving you the message that we are here for each other in a very beautiful way. So those two books is actually, I have read them a couple of times, and every time they give me something else, depending on which state I am, and so yeah, I love those two.
Yeah. No, and those are great
Yes,
recommendations because if
yeah,
you've read them more than once, that means they've meant a lot to you and you've gotten a lot out
yeah,
of them, and so
yeah,
those are 2 books I'll add to my list. I usually the ones that people have read more than once are the ones I want to read because that means there's something there, and so I will
yeah,
certainly add both of those to my list and knock
yeah.
those out. Um, but Susie, we're so excited for you. Thank
Yeah.
you again
Thank you.
for sharing your story. We're excited for your book to come out in September, and when it does, we will put that on the website so people can find it, and we'll post about it, and we'll share it so that everybody can see it and read your story. But keep doing what you're doing, Susie. It's powerful, it's
Thank you.
impactful, and we can't wait to see just what all the impact you continue to have. And so very proud and honored to have had this conversation with you and to share your work.
Thank you so much, Chris. It's been an honor to be here. Thank you.